territories will be crucial elements of a peace negotiation. They are inseparable from the peace guarantees for the rest of the Ukrainian territory and for Europe, and so they cannot be discussed without the presence of the Ukrainian president at the table. Today, there is no serious scheme of territorial exchange on the table.
We'll be prepared and ready for whatever we need to support. And, we're working closely with the governor's office and the White House and the military to ensure that we are fully prepared to host this event and any other future events as well. There's certainly excitement being upon the global stage and a lot of attention worldwide. And there's curiosity too. And there's also pride about our community, pride about our state, and this opportunity to be the venue for such an important meeting. Like so many other people, I'm hopeful that this meeting will lead to peace and an end to the war.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Levin, and I proudly own and operate Puppy Levin. Puppy Levin is a pet care salon dedicated to caring for your furry companions. We provide certified dog grooming services along with boarding and doggy daycare. Our facility is family-owned and operated and promise personalized care for every pet that comes through our doors. If you're worried about your furry friend being lonely when you're gone, we also have on-site personnel 24/7 just for their comfort. Follow us on Facebook and call or text us at 814-758-9259 to make an appointment today.
Anyone with a kind and generous heart and a little money can be a philanthropist. You too can be a force for good in our community, and the Crawford Heritage Community Foundation is here to help you make the most of your charitable giving. We've partnered with hundreds of people like you to make our world and our community a better place. You can give through us to support scholarships or any charitable organization or purpose. Whether you're interested in establishing a permanent endowment or adding to an existing fund, we want to be a part of your plan. Contact us when you're ready to make your mark. Together, we can make your contribution go further.
The Gordon B. Garrett Funeral Home has been serving the needs of Titusville and surrounding communities since 1965. Mr. Garrett believed in tradition and commitment to excellence, standards that have been passed down from one generation to now a new generation, who will work to provide you with a beautiful, lasting tribute to your loved one. When you need them, they will be there for you. This has been their foundation for almost 60 years. The Gordon B. Garrett Funeral Home, 303 North Washington Street in Titusville.
Thinking about switching to 5G home internet? Think again. Unlike Zoom from Armstrong, 5G home internet is delivered by a cell tower. The further away you are, or the more devices connected to that tower, the slower your internet is. Cell phone providers also play favorites. When their network gets busy, cell phones win, and your home internet pays the price. Stick with Armstrong to get more data, more speed, and internet whenever you need it, not whenever they want. Armstrong, keeping you connected.
Sheer Design is Titusville's exclusive Paul Mitchell-focused salon. This full-service salon specializes in coloring, cuts, nails, and tanning. Owner Angela Saxon has over 20 years' experience as a Paul Mitchell professional. She and her licensed staff offer all cuts and styles for men and women of all ages. Call 814-827-0010 or stop in at 116 South Kerr Street in Titusville.
J. Gill Plumbing and Heating takes pride in being the premier heating and air conditioning service provider in the area. With over 30 years of experience, our highly skilled and certified technicians will work closely with you to address your heating and air conditioning repair, installation, or maintenance needs. Our team is dedicated to making your home the ultimate place of comfort. Call today to get a free estimate. We also offer financing options and membership opportunities that provide peace of mind and cost savings. Call J. Gill Plumbing and Heating today or visit them online 24/7 at jgillplumbingheating.com.
If you're looking for a professional massage therapist, Tranquil Moments Massage in Titusville is here for you. Rayan Rauch graduated from Slippery Rock University with a bachelor's degree in exercise and rehabilitative sciences with an emphasis in athletic training. Tranquil Moments offers a wide range of services, from Swedish massage to deep tissue, sugar scrubs to hot towel inclusion therapy. Like them on Facebook and visit their website to learn more about all the services they offer. Tranquil Moments Massage in Titusville.
Share the fun of train travel and relive our country's oil history as you ride the OC&T through the valley that changed the world. Learn about the past while traveling on vintage cars. See a variety of wildlife with stops at Drakewell Park, Petroleum Center, and Oil Creek State Park. Arrive early and see the vast collection of train and railroad memorabilia at Perry Street Station. After the ride, enjoy a night's stay at the Caboose Motel. For seasonal specials or for more information, visit octrr.org or call 814-676-1733.
U.S. stocks ended higher on Wednesday, with the Dow adding 1%, the S&P 500 gaining about 0.33%, and the Nasdaq ticking up marginally. It was the second straight day of record closing highs for the S&P 500 and Nasdaq. It's an upward momentum that has baffled some investors, says Alexander Morris, CEO and Chief Investment Officer at FM Investments.
There's a lot of things to be worried about, but it seems pure demand and greed keeps driving equity markets higher and higher. Investors are no doubt watching inflation that is, although a little cooler than expected, still stubbornly above the Fed's metric, a impugning of the independence of the Federal Reserve from the executive branch that seems to have been joined by the legislative branch now, a plethora of names being mentioned for Jerome Powell's new job and the open seat on the Federal Reserve Board, all of which are leading to politically driven policy as opposed to sound monetary policy.
Stocks on Wednesday were buoyed by increasing confidence that the Federal Reserve was getting closer to cutting interest rates. Traders are now fully pricing in a 25 basis point cut at the Fed's September policy meeting, according to the CME's FedWatch tool. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said on Wednesday that he thought an aggressive half-point cut was possible given recent weak employment numbers. Stocks on the move Wednesday included Apple, which rose more than 1.5% after Bloomberg News reported the company is plotting expansion into AI-powered robots, home security, and smart displays. AI data center operator CoreWeave, which is backed by NVIDIA, fell almost 21% after the company reported a bigger-than-expected quarterly net loss. And shares of Paramount Skydance jumped more than 36% as the company won exclusive broadcasting rights to the Ultimate Fighting Championship for 7 years.
Global shares hit a record high on Wednesday. That's as expectations of a US rate cut buoyed demands for riskier assets, along with investors cheering mild inflation data, signalling resilience in major economies. The dollar index also fell for a second day. The MSCI All-Country World Index of shares climbed again, reaching an all-time high. Meanwhile, Japan's Nikkei stock set a fresh peak for a second straight session. European stocks also advanced as tech and defence led the gains. US inflation readings on Tuesday came in below expectations. It indicated President Donald Trump's import tariff had yet to filter down to consumer prices. That helped Wall Street scale new heights. Also supported by increasing certainty that the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates next month. Trump's signing of an executive order to pause triple-digit levies on Chinese imports for another 90 days also boosted optimism.
After a warm middle of the week across the Northeast, cold front is making its push through the region. Still ahead of that front will we fire up a few areas of those showers and thunderstorms. So stay weather aware of those isolated rumbles. Still where we are noting that areas like New York, still warmer, 87 degrees, DC at 91. But behind this frontal system, we're seeing those quick clearing skies and a bit of a relief from some of that strongest heat. Though just as we get into a comfortable, beautiful blue sky here for tomorrow, we will be talking about some rebuilding heat. Now, 91 into Charleston, still warm there, but seasonable for this time of the year. 89 into Philadelphia to 77 into Boston. But taking a quick look at Saturday, we will start to see the spread of that warmth back throughout the Northeast. Though, just as this heat rebuilds on Saturday, we are going to keep an eye on another cold front to arrive by Sunday.
All right, let's take a look at that weather forecast for northwest Pennsylvania on this Thursday morning already. We are looking at some sunshine with temperatures today in the low 80s. Mostly sunny on Friday with temperatures in the mid-80s. Saturday, sunshine, upper 80s. Sunday, isolated thunderstorms, low 80s. Monday, partly cloudy with temperatures in the low 80s. 7:14 is our time. This is the Morning Drill. You're watching it on Stream TV and on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel. Feels like a Monday for some reason, because technical glitches in the studio here this morning.
You don't have a camera yet?
Yeah, our camera's not on it, so we're going to be looking at you.
To see you. I'm kidding.
Yeah, I dressed up today and everything.
You did. You look nice.
I didn't dress up today. I have to work on that.
Well, it doesn't need ironed or anything.
My shirt?
Yeah.
No.
So it's okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, yeah. How's it going?
It's going. It's good. All good.
All good in the neighborhood?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's about 68 to 70 degrees here in northwest Pennsylvania. So about.
It was nice for a little bit yesterday, and then it kind of like there was a period where it felt pretty steamy. So I was, ugh.
Yeah, it was pretty much in working on stuff all day yesterday, but I did talk to somebody who said they were out on their porch, and it was muggy. He says quite sticky.
Yeah. It's gross. Ready for fall weather.
Well, still got some nice weather coming. It's always fun, those first couple weeks of football where, 7 o'clock kickoff and, it's like 80 degrees.
Sun's
and it's
in your
warm.
eyes.
Yeah, it's warm. No Powerball winner.
No.
Correct?
None.
Okay. It's up to what?
500 and some million.
Wow.
70 something or 80 something. I can't remember.
Maybe you won't win that, but AT&T will pay $177 million in a class action settlement related to separate alleged data breaches last year. In one incident dated March 30th, 2024, some customers' vulnerable data, including address, social security numbers, birth dates, passcodes, billing numbers, and phone numbers, were released on the dark web, according to a news release. The telecommunication company was also accused of an incident on July 12th, 2024, where limited data was illegally downloaded. Some of the breached information included customers and other users associated with the account, as well as numbers they interacted with. So
that's not cool.
Yeah. Customers affected by the first incident can claim up to $5,000 by providing materials for the documented loss cash payment option, according to information on the settlement website. Another alternative is a Tier 1 or Tier 2 cash payment. Those whose social security numbers were included in the March 30th breach are eligible to file a claim for Tier 1, which is 5 times the amount of Tier 2. Those affected by the July 12th breach could be eligible for cash payment up to $2,500. So if you're an AT&T customer, you may want to look into that if you were hacked. And then for customers who owned a Capital One 360 savings account between September 2019 and June 2025 may be eligible to receive a payment as part of a $425 million settlement.
What did they do?
Good question. Let's see.
Did you broke this pen too?
Did you steal it from me?
Yeah, I did. But you broke this.
Well, how do you know it was me? You grabbed it from over here.
Mm-hmm. I know you and your tendencies. I just feel like this has to be. Anyways, go ahead. What did they do?
So, can I real quick on that?
Finish your story.
I can't show. My camera's not working.
You can't. What are you showing me?
Well, no, I broke the tab off of this pen.
I know.
Too.
That's why I'm like you sit there and you flick with them and yeah.
You don't?
No. This right here.
Yeah, and you know what? You know what the worst part is? They're perfectly fine pens, right?
Yeah, but you won't use them.
Yeah, I have this problem where once the clip's broken on them, it's like, okay, I'm done with them. No, I'm using this one because
it's a nice pen.
It's a nice pen and it's here, but yeah, I have this thing where like
it's one of the few pens I can use that don't smear. There's not.
That's because you're left-handed.
I'm weird.
No, and you're left-handed, so when you write, if you do like one of those gel pens are really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah.
They tend to smear.
Because you are gliding over them. Did you see these stories that I don't know? It's not, we don't fly every day, obviously, but once or twice a year we're flying. And I always read these like horror stories about these folks on planes, but we've never seen an incident, have we? Where somebody was dragged off the plane or... No,
we've been very fortunate.
There was an incident on Sunday, August 10th. Now, this was overseas, but, you do hear these stories here, where, again, a passenger goes crazy or somebody needs to be removed from the plane. I was just... The headline grabbed my attention. Passenger dragged off plane by authorities after allegedly fighting with cabin crew over turning off her cell phone.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
I often wonder, I enjoy confrontation. And two of our three children are very similar in that respect. So I often wonder what would happen if, we were stuck with an unruly passenger. It might not end well for us.
You mean us being removed?
Yeah. I probably couldn't not tell this person to not be a moron. That's all. That is all.
Well, sometimes there's those stories of the people that try to help. Mm-hmm. You know, the stewardess removes somebody, and then they get caught up in it, and then they get thrown out.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be the one arguing with the stewardess. Unless you broke your
I'm just trying to think
lightsaber.
about this.
Unless you broke your lightsaber.
Mm.
Do you remember that? You can fit three carry-ons in one thing, and we put 4 lightsabers up there and asked, and she picked up somebody's bag and whipped it, and yeah. I'm like, whoa, there's lightsabers up there. She said, well, it fits through. I'm like, yes, and my entire family's carry-ons are right up there. So then everybody else who had lightsabers shoved theirs up there too, so she couldn't put any more bags. It's very nice.
Yeah. Okay.
That means nothing to anybody but you.
So I'm going to run through a couple sports headlines, and then we're going to get into birthdays and what we're celebrating.
Sure.
All right, we're going to go into Major League Baseball. Brewers pounded the Pirates 12-5. Nationals over the Royals 8-7. Tigers beat the White Sox 1-0.
Do you know what's fun about this? Everybody gets to see the expressions of my attempt to care. But go ahead, keep going.
You're looking great.
I was like...
Rockies over Cardinals. Just smile. Just smile. Diamondbacks
I'm pretending to pay attention.
Over the Rangers 6-4. Padres over the Giants 11-1. And you know what's weird? I can't. I'm
reading
reading
sports scores.
I'm reading these sports scores. I can't look at. This would be the first for me to see you actually looking like you care.
I know, right? That's what I'm like. Oh, I gotta pretend like I care.
And I can't look at this to see what it looks like because I'm reading these.
I'm gonna drink my coffee. Go ahead.
Yeah, and just sit back and enjoy this. Reds over the Phillies 8-0. Orioles beat the Mariners 4-3. Marlins over the Guardians 13-4. Twins beat the Yankees 4-1. Cubs over the Blue Jays 4-1. Mets fell to the Braves 11-6. Astros over the Red Sox 4-1. Angels beat the Dodgers 6-5. Rays over the A's 8-2. The final there. Major League Baseball action for this Thursday. Orioles and Mariners at 1:05. Blue Jays Cubs at 3:07. Guardians take on the Marlins at 6:40. Nationals and Phillies at 6:45. Mets will take on the Braves. Twins and Tigers tonight at 7:40. And then at 8:40, the Rockies will take on the Diamondbacks. And that is a look at some baseball action for today.
You know, like amazes me. How many baseball games does one team play a season? I mean, they've got back to back to back, you know.
Yeah.
That's got to be exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
And then, not to be a jerk, football plays like one game a week, you know.
Well, a team, but football's now almost Thursday, Friday, or Thursday.
No, I'm saying, like, if you look at the Pirates, how many games do they have in 1 week versus football having one game?
Right.
It blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Well, speaking of football, you got preseason game number 2 tomorrow.
So excited.
You got the Titans and Falcons, Chiefs and Seahawks.
Did we win ours?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember. I don't.
Again, and it doesn't matter.
No.
Also this weekend, Saturday, you got Texans, Panthers, Eagles, Browns, Vikings, Patriots, Colts, Packers, Lions, Dolphins, Raiders, 49ers, Steelers and Buccaneers at 7 o'clock Saturday, Giants, Jets, Rams, Chargers, Cowboys, Ravens, Broncos, Cardinals. On Sunday, it's the Saints and Jaguars, Bills and Bears, Commanders, and Bengals on Monday night. So that's preseason week number 2 there. All right, let's get to birthdays and what we're celebrating. We're going to do birthdays. Today's the 14th day of August.
Okay. Comedian Steve Martin is 80.
Steve Martin?
He's 80.
Looks great.
He does. Actress Marcia Gay Harden is 66. Urban Magic Johnson, 66. Actress Susan Olsen is 64. Actress Holly Berry is 59. Actress Catherine
Bell. Did you say
Bell.
Holly or Hallie?
I said Holly. I don't know. Hallie. Sorry. Catherine Bell, 57. Actress Mila Kunis is 42, and that is all.
All right. Happy birthday to them. Happy birthday to you if today happens to be your birthday from all of us here today.
All of us. Just me.
What are we
I'm
celebrating?
Here by myself.
No, the morning drill singers are somewhere.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Assumption of Mary Day in Spain. Chant at the Moon Day. Check the Chip Day. Feast of Assumption. Flooding of the Nile. Foundation of Old Panama City. Gold Cup Parade. Hawaiian Shirt Day. Liechtenstein National Day. Malaysia Province Day. Kool-Aid Day. National Leather Craft Day. National Lemon Meringue Pie Day. National Men's Grooming Day. National No SpongeBob Day. National Relaxation Day. National Shoe Donation Day. World Greatness Day. And it says here, I missed it. There's a lot of birthdays I missed, maybe. This is the 15th, right? 14th. I'm on tomorrow. It skipped me to tomorrow. That's what we're celebrating tomorrow.
Oh, so what are we celebrating
Don't
today?
put the camera on me anymore. Anniversary of Recovery. Love Your Bookshop Day. Ooh, National Creamsicle Day.
Is today?
Yeah. National Financial Awareness Day. National Spirit of 45 Day. National Tattoo Removal Day. Navajo Code Talkers Day. World Lizard Day, and that's all.
All right, so you won't be too surprised tomorrow
We're
when...
going to chant at the moon tomorrow.
Okay, that's tomorrow?
That's
good,
tomorrow.
because I have time to do that tomorrow.
I know, I have
today
no time to chant at the moon today.
That's good.
We'll be chanting tomorrow.
And tomorrow, not only will you recap what you just said, but you'll have the weekend you can bring us.
Yeah. Do you know how I realized I was wrong? All these weird birthdays that they would have said on the birthday app was like, oh, yeah, they didn't mention all of those people today.
That'll
okay.
do it. Yeah.
I'm just, it's not abnormal for me to be a little bit ahead.
Right. And just maybe a little excited to get to the weekend.
Yeah.
Another fast week.
Ugh.
It's hard. It's crazy. The first high school football game around here is a week from tomorrow.
It's awesome.
Is it? Some people, just so you know, some people are in panic mode.
Some people. That would be you.
But no, our kid's been out practicing this week and conditioning. And other sports teams have been doing the same. So.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, we're coming up on 7:30 here this morning. We'll bring you the latest headlines. We also we'll let you know what's going on in Wall Street. A lot of business stories this morning. We got your regional forecast. We'll recap that local forecast for you as well. And again, we had some rain yesterday, some thunderstorms. Did you hear any of the storms, or no? We didn't really. We just got rain.
We got rain.
And I feel like we didn't get enough rain.
No, we could use some more. Our grass is still brown.
Okay.
I still don't have to mow, which, is abnormal.
Well, there's what we're looking at here over the next 5 days. And again, we'll go through the whole thing coming up in just a moment. This is the Morning Drill.
I've been sleepy, I've been cranky, I am barely awake. I've been groggy, I've been soggy, sleeping in my cornflakes. Look at Amy, make me smile, as it's always a thrill. There's a laugh in my...
President Donald Trump was very clear on the fact that what the United States wants is to obtain a ceasefire during this meeting in Alaska. And it's very important that during this meeting, there could be a ceasefire obtained by the United States of America. And we support this initiative, as well as new prisoner exchanges and the liberation of children. The second element that was very clearly expressed by President Trump is that the question of Ukrainian territory can and will only be negotiated by the Ukrainian president. This is the position that we support, and it has been very clearly expressed by President Trump, and so this heralds our meetings in the future. The question of occupied territories will be crucial elements of a peace negotiation. They are inseparable from the peace guarantees for the rest of the Ukrainian territory and for Europe, and so they cannot be discussed without the presence of the Ukrainian president at the table. Today, there is no serious scheme of territorial exchange on the table.
We'll be prepared and ready for whatever we need to support. And we're working closely with the governor's office and the White House and the military to ensure that we are fully prepared to host this event and any other future events as well. There's certainly excitement being upon the global stage and a lot of attention worldwide. And there's curiosity too. And there's also pride about our community, pride about our state, and this opportunity to be the venue for such an important meeting. Like so many other people, I'm hopeful that this meeting will lead to peace and an end to the war.
Swooping in to save you over 11 grand off your next Chevy truck. It's Community Chevrolet's newest mascot, Independence Dog.
Getting you approved by day, fighting crime by night.
With Independence Day savings running all month long, you can save more than 11 grand off MSRP on a new Silverado, or save nearly 3 grand on hot new SUVs like the Trailblazer and the Equinox. Follow Independence Dog to explosive savings this month at Community Chevy.
Interstate Pipe and Supply takes pride in providing superior customer service. That's why our dedicated employees are well trained and have the experience to offer friendly, quick, and reliable service and support. Need materials delivered to your job site? No problem. Interstate offers fast delivery from our 4 locations in Western Pennsylvania. We also serve Eastern Ohio, Northern Western Virginia, and Western New York. Service means business at Western Pennsylvania's premier pipe and supply company, Interstate Pipe and Supply.
Vanderhoof Heating and Air Conditioning provides residential and light commercial air conditioning services throughout the area. They understand the importance of your cooling system working properly. That is why you can trust in Vanderhoof to do the job right. Whether it's a non-working air conditioner, yearly maintenance, or a new install, you can be assured that we will solve your problem quickly and efficiently. Your home's air conditioning system is far more than just temperature. It's a complete comfort system that combines temperature, humidity, air quality, and above all, safety. Vanderhoof Heating and Air Conditioning in Titusville.
Looking for expert orthopedic care? Dr. Charlie Gates, a trusted name at Titusville Area Hospital, can help you regain mobility and a better quality of life. With years of experience and a passion for personalized care, Dr. Gates specializes in treating a wide range of orthopedic conditions. Whether it's joint pain, sports injuries, or orthopedic surgery, trust Dr. Charlie Gates at Titusville Area Hospital for your orthopedic care. Call 814-827-9770 today to schedule your appointment.
Welcome to Inspire Med Spa, the place you know and love for massages, Botox, laser resurfacing, and semi-permanent makeup. Now we're offering even more, including laser hair removal, tattoo removal, and hair rejuvenation. Our team is here to provide expert care in a peaceful, luxurious environment designed with your relaxation in mind. And with our newly added services, now you can get all your beauty services in one place. Visit Inspire Med Spa today, because you deserve to look and feel your best.
I know sometimes we get into it and it's just hard on both of us, but try to understand me more and I'll try to do the same. But you have excuses because you're old, so it's okay.
Listening is a form of love. Find ways to support your kids at sounditouttogether.org.
Marsh Home Center Furniture, Appliances, and Bedding is located at 305 East Spring Street in Titusville. Marsh Home Center welcomes you in to explore their growing inventory of name brand furniture, appliances, and bedding. Need something not currently in stock? No problem. Order from Marsh's online catalog and have it delivered right to your door. Visit Marsh's to see their entire showroom, ask questions, see what items are on sale, or just stop in and say hi. Marsh Home Center Furniture, Appliances, and Bedding, behind Giant Eagle in Titusville.
Whether you want to go and lead in your craft in the trades, whether you want to go and be that nurse or medical worker and have a real impact on lives, or whether you want to go and help that business improve its bottom line, this is the place. And now is your time to go with confidence, to go with skill, to go succeed. The Education and Training Center at Pitt Titusville.
Vehicle shopping? Make sure you check out Titusville Ford first. Shop our amazing selection of new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs in stock. Visit us on Route 8 in Titusville and see why our customer service is a cut above the rest. Titusville Ford, your hometown dealer.
U.S. stocks ended higher on Wednesday, with the Dow adding 1%, the S&P 500 gaining about 0.33%, and the Nasdaq ticking up marginally. It was the second straight day of record closing highs for the S&P 500 and Nasdaq. It's an upward momentum that has baffled some investors, says Alexander Morris, CEO and Chief Investment Officer at FM Investments.
There's a lot of things to be worried about, but it seems pure demand and greed keeps driving equity markets higher and higher. Investors are no doubt watching inflation that is, although a little cooler than expected, still stubbornly above the Fed's metric, a impugning of the independence of the Federal Reserve from the executive branch that seems to have been joined by the legislative branch now, a plethora of names being mentioned for Jerome Powell's new job and the opening seat on the Federal Reserve Board, all of which are leading to politically driven policy as opposed to sound monetary policy.
Stocks on Wednesday were buoyed by increasing confidence that the Federal Reserve was getting closer to cutting interest rates. Traders are now fully pricing in a 25 basis point cut at the Fed's September policy meeting, according to the CME's FedWatch tool. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said on Wednesday that he thought an aggressive half-point cut was possible given recent weak employment numbers. Stocks on the move Wednesday included Apple, which rose more than 1.5% after Bloomberg News reported the company is plotting expansion into AI-powered robots, home security, and smart displays. AI data center operator CoreWeave, which is backed by NVIDIA, fell almost 21% after the company reported a bigger-than-expected quarterly net loss. And shares of Paramount Skydance jumped more than 36% as the company won exclusive broadcasting rights to the Ultimate Fighting Championship for 7 years.
Global shares hit a record high on Wednesday. That's as expectations of a US rate cut buoyed demands for riskier assets, along with investors cheering mild inflation data, signalling resilience in major economies. The dollar index also fell for a second day. The MSCI All-Country World Index of shares climbed again, reaching an all-time high. Meanwhile, Japan's Nikkei stock set a fresh peak for a second straight session. European stocks also advanced as tech and defence led the gains. US inflation readings on Tuesday came in below expectations. It indicated President Donald Trump's import tariff had yet to filter down to consumer prices. That helped Wall Street scale new heights, also supported by increasing certainty that the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates next month. Trump's signing of an executive order to pause triple-digit levies on Chinese imports for another 90 days also boosted optimism.
European stocks are back in business, but can it last? Over the past decade, capital has flowed from Europe to America in pursuit of better returns, but now the trend has reversed. European shares are enjoying their strongest start to the year since 2000 relative to US stocks. But a costly US trade deal is starting to become a reality, so is there still potential for a further European outperformance? Benedict Lowe is equity derivative strategist for Europe at BNP Paribas. So Benedict, trade deal jitters have significantly weighed on German investor confidence. What sectors are going to be taking a hit from the current trade deal with the US?
Yeah, so we've seen actually a quite more nuanced and a mixed result in reaction of the market to the trade deal that has been announced between the US and Europe. Basically, we were almost flat before this morning, and today we've got a decent rally that is kind of helping in terms of sentiment. The reality is that the market, I think, is ready to focus on another subject. That might be the German fiscal stimulus that is upcoming for the end of the year. That might be hope of a potential peace deal in Europe between Ukraine and Russia, or even the next earnings season. I think the market's ready to move on. Now, at a sectorial level, we've seen different types of performance, of dispersion. We've had some sectors that were more impacted. Those are more US-driven and more US-exposed sectors. So the pharma is the first one we have in mind. There was the impact from the pharma tariffs that were announced, but also there's some fears that Trump will impose lower drug prices. That would be a net negative for the sectors, but also other sectors such as food and bev, the luxury sectors that have been a bit more impacted by the trade negotiations that have been ongoing.
Well, you mentioned the earnings season, and results have been overall quite poor in Europe. Should we expect to lower expectations for the next quarter, especially with a stronger euro?
So we've had indeed quite a disappointing earnings result in Europe for this earnings season. I think now expectations have been revised lower. That also means that the bar to surprise at the next season on the upside has been actually lowered recently. We also have to take into account that, as I mentioned, we're going to have some fiscal stimulus in Europe that should be positive for the overall growth of the sectors and of the European regions for the end of the year. So I think it's kind of too early to say. I think the market will probably try to guess where also the growth picture is in the US before having too much of a view around the next earnings season that is in a couple of months' time.
Meanwhile, defence stocks were the hottest sector during the first half of the year, while hopes of a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine are starting to grow. What does it mean for these stocks?
We've seen strong performance of the defence sector after the EU defence plan was announced this year. And at BNP, the defence sector remained one of our long sectors. We keep our long bias. We've seen that inflows have continued on the sector, so momentum is actually quite supportive for that sector. Now, the reality is that given the outperformance that we have this year, stellar performance of the sectors, we think positioning on the sector via options rather than futures makes a lot of sense. That can protect investors so for some potential downsides. So we think switching out of futures into options is the correct way to go on that sector.
Falling interest rates were another tailwind behind Europe's outperformance this year, but markets aren't expecting another cut till December, likely to be its final move. Will this weigh on European stocks?
I think on that question we need to take a step back back. And when we look at the current level of the 10-year German bond yield, it's trading currently at around 2.7%. If we compare that to the equity space, where the earning yield, which is the inverse of the PE ratio, is trading at around 7%, that still gives you a good premium when you invest into equity market, into the riskier part of the spectrum versus the safe asset, which is the German bond. So I think based on that, the picture for equity market continues to be quite positive in Europe. And also we have to keep in mind the fact that if for whatever reason the European Union was to be hit with a negative growth shock, the EU probably able to cut rates from the current levels that we are at. So I think the rates picture is less of a concern in Europe versus where we are in the US, given the level of valuation that are very extended in the US market.
So finally, Benedict, Barclays have recommended buying dips in European stocks as there is a case for them to end the year at a record high. Do you agree?
Yeah, so the picture in the European equity space is that earnings, as you mentioned, have been disappointing, but the market has been detaching from that. And the main reason we think is coming from the fact that positioning is low in European equities, especially after the NFP sell-off that we had in Europe. All of the systematic type of positions, such as the CTS, the vol target, they've unloaded some of their exposures. Once the realized vol normalize, which is happening at the moment, we see room for those strategies to reload, and that should help positioning within Europe. We also have, as we mentioned earlier, the fact that there's some hope of a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia that could lift sentiment on European equities, and actually would be the most kind of convex scenario into Europe. So probably what to have in mind is that pain trade is to the upside, the overall market is underinvested, and there's some shock absorber at the moment in the European equity space.
That was Benedict Lowe from BNP Paribas. Don't forget, you can watch more videos on Reuters.com.
From Bitcoin's high to Bullish's blistering debut, this is Crypto Weekly. Bitcoin soared to a fresh record on Thursday. The biggest cryptocurrency climbed nearly 1% to over $124,000. Analysts say a recent rally is driven by expectations of Federal Reserve rate cuts, institutional buying and pro-crypto moves by the Trump administration. Bitcoin is up nearly 32% so far this year. Do Kwon, the South Korean entrepreneur behind the failed cryptocurrencies Terra USD and Luna, pleaded guilty at a New York court this week. That was to 2 charges of conspiracy to defraud and wire fraud. He admitted to misleading investors and committing fraud while leading Terraform Labs, the Singapore-based company that launched the 2 tokens. Their collapse in 2022 wiped out an estimated $40 billion in investor wealth. President Donald Trump has opened the cryptocurrency industry to trillions of dollars in new investments from US retirement savers. Some say it adds a new layer of risk to ordinary investors that may not fully understand the sector. David Nicholas from X Funds, though, told Reuters that crypto could be the next boost for retiree portfolios, but only in a diversified way in order to not get burned.
I really think that crypto has become more mainstream, and with that, we've seen volatility come down. But one of the things that we've done in our blocks ETF is really try to give a broad, diversified approach to crypto. So about half of the fund has direct exposure to Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. So you get that direct crypto exposure. But again, like the Warren Buffett model, right? Warren Buffett was so against Bitcoin. Why? Because there was no real earnings or revenue growth. So we pair the fund. We have about 11 to 12 publicly traded companies that we consider crypto industry companies that have real earnings, that have real revenues, but they benefit as the price of crypto goes higher.
Crypto exchange operator Bullish was valued at over $13 billion after its shares more than doubled in their New York Stock Exchange debut on Wednesday. It lifts prospects for future US listings by other digital asset firms. The parent of crypto news website Coinbase raised over $1 billion in its IPO, valuing the company at $5.4 billion. Perplexity AI made a $34.5 billion all-cash offer for Alphabet's Chrome browser on Tuesday, a bid far above its own valuation. The startup is reaching for the browser's billions of users, pivotal to the AI search race. Perplexity is no stranger to headline-grabbing offers. It made a similar one for TikTok US in January. It offered to merge with the popular short video app to resolve US concerns about TikTok's Chinese ownership. OpenAI, Yahoo, and private equity firm Apollo Global Management have also expressed interest in Chrome. That's as regulatory pressure threatens Google's grip on the industry. Google did not immediately respond to Reuters' requests for comment. The company has not offered up Chrome for sale and also plans to appeal a US court ruling last year that found it held an unlawful monopoly in online search. The Justice Department has sought a Chrome divestiture as part of the case's remedies. Perplexity did not disclose on Tuesday how it plans to fund the offer. The 3-year-old company has raised around $1 billion in funding so far from investors including Nvidia and Japan's SoftBank. It was last valued at $14 billion.
After a warm middle of the week across the Northeast, cold front is making its push through the region. Still ahead of that front will we fire up a few areas of those showers and thunderstorms. So stay weather aware of those isolated rumbles. Still where we are noting that areas like New York, still warmer, 87 degrees, DC at 91. But behind this frontal system, we're seeing those quick clearing skies and a bit of a relief from some of that strongest heat. Though just as we get into a comfortable, beautiful blue sky here for tomorrow, we will be talking about some rebuilding heat. Now, 91 into Charleston, still warm there, but seasonable for this time of the year. 89 into Philadelphia to 77 into Boston. But taking a quick look at Saturday, we will start to see the spread of that warmth back throughout the Northeast. Though, just as this heat rebuilds on Saturday, we are going to keep an eye on another cold front to arrive by Sunday.
All right, let's take a look at that weather forecast for northwest Pennsylvania on this Thursday morning. We are looking at cloudy skies early, peaks of sunshine expected late, with highs today in the mid-80s. Clear skies tonight and lows in the low 60s. Friday, mostly sunny, upper 80s for a high. Saturday, mostly sunny, upper 80s. Sunday, scattered thunderstorms, low 80s. Monday, partly cloudy, low 80s. Tuesday, showers and a high of 80. Just a sneak peek ahead past that graphic that you see there. So, yeah, next week shaping up, and not going to even get into looking at what next Friday could look like, but should be a decent week. You got the Crawford County Fair coming up. We'll talk more about that tomorrow and kind of run down some of the schedules for this week or next week at the Crawford County Fair. Looking forward to it, though. Area temperatures this morning: Meadville at 67, Cambridge Springs, Edinburgh at 66, Titusville 68. Franklin 61, Oil City. I'm sorry, 71 in Franklin, 71 in Oil City. This is the Morning Drill. You're watching it on Stream TV and on the Armstrong Neighborhood channel. All right, plugging away over there. Get your day set.
Done.
Yeah.
Are we still not able to see you?
No, I think the system needs like rebooted, but I can't.
Oh, you can't do it right.
Yeah, because then it interrupts the live stream and everything. So it's just you.
It'll just, yeah.
Next
and
hour.
It'll be your guest.
I know.
Hour.
Next hour, we got Mr. Bill Allen joining us from Titusville Forward. We've got Angela Morton. She hosts the television program Recovery Is right here on the Armstrong Neighborhood channel. And she'll be joining us. So, yeah, looking forward to that. Tomorrow on the program, Emily Altamar from the Oil Region Alliance. I want to click on me, but I'm not there. Oil Region Alliance and
I mean, maybe they prefer to look at the street than me.
Mr. Sports, Bruce Peterson. So, looking forward to what are you doing over there?
I'm like all caught up in your cords.
No.
My heel got stuck. Sorry, my bad. Well, people are going to miss you, until tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I better get this fixed, right?
Right.
Let's see. Have you seen this story about? I don't know if it's a Harvard professor that keeps saying there's this like alien spaceship that's coming our way, and I think it's supposed to get here by like November or something.
Awesome.
There's this thing coming towards us, and yeah, they're saying it's not a comet. I don't know. It's just been kind of weird, but there was this story. A mysterious spiraling light spotted in the night sky over the eastern United States sparked UFO speculation online, but was likely the result of a rocket launch. Witnesses reported seeing the ball of light, which appeared to have a spiral shape around it, in the Tuesday night sky over New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut, with some reports indicating it was seen as far west as Ohio.
Oh, wow.
Photos and videos of the light sparked speculation online, with some suggesting it could be a sign of extraterrestrial visitors. Others pointed out, however, that the timing of the light coincided with the United Launch Alliance's Vulcan Centaur rocket, which took off shortly before 9 p.m. Tuesday in Cape Canaveral, Florida. The rocket was carrying an experimental navigation satellite into orbit for the U.S. military. So probably saying
what we were seeing.
That was it. Maybe.
We cannot confirm nor deny.
Yes.
Typical.
Yes. Would you be surprised if the government came out and said, "Yeah, there's stuff out there"?
No, not at all.
I think most people are kind of in that camp now. Like,
yeah,
with everything we've seen in life.
I couldn't even imagine. Like, I think it's a lot different now, obviously, than it used to be with media, social media, cameras. Everybody's got a camera. There's cameras on houses. There's drones in the air. I think it's a lot different. Like, there's a lot less opportunity for them to hide things from us. I can't even imagine how many times we probably all almost died here, or, but they may have stopped it and, hid it from us. So I feel like there's a lot, and just, for our safety and not to be going down that rabbit hole, they just kind of hide it from us. But now it's like impossible. There's a camera everywhere, which
Not a fan of?
I'm not a fan of. No.
There's this video, and I should play it. There's this video of this kid that does the ding dong ditch thing.
Oh, yeah.
The kid runs up, and it gets caught by this lady.
Yeah, because she has a camera on her door.
Right.
Like every other person.
So she starts... I actually thought she did a good job. She didn't yell at the kid, but she was like, do your parents know what you do? Does your dad know what you're doing? Yeah. Well, come to find out, the dad's the one that dropped the kid off.
He's out waiting in the car.
He's waiting in the car. Yeah, kind of like a rite of passage thing. Like,
yeah,
you got to grow up doing this stuff. That's that kind of stuff. I feel bad. Like, our kids are, and kids today are surrounded by this technology, and like they're being watched constantly. Instead of, was it so bad for a kid to run up and ring your doorbell and run away?
No.
They were having fun, right? Kids have such a short leash today.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And how are they going to learn from their mistakes when they're not allowed to make mistakes?
Yes.
Sorry.
Because now they're being written up on charges, and they're,
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying, I think there's situations here locally with like our police department where they do a really good job of making sure this, as long as it's not a severe thing.
Yeah.
Like, okay, don't do it again.
But I will say, we got a letter in the mail that I loved. They can't have their phones in their classes. Like, they have to drop them in a designated area, and they can't have their phones through classes. Like, I have been against them having phones at school since day one. Oh, but they needed to look stuff up. No, they don't.
Yeah, but do you use your phone at work?
You know why I use my phone at work?
That's not the question.
Can you listen to me? I have to log into a system, and they have to verify my identity by my phone. They've created their own.
I'm just saying, you're using your phone everywhere in life. So
I know, but
we'll have to continue this conversation tomorrow.
U.S. President Donald Trump was very clear on the fact that what the United States wants is to obtain a ceasefire during this meeting in Alaska. And it's very important that during this meeting, there could be a ceasefire obtained by the United States of America. And we support this initiative, as well as new prisoner exchanges and the liberation of children. The second element that was very clearly expressed by President Trump is that the question of Ukrainian territory can and will only be negotiated by the Ukrainian president. This is the position that we support, and it has been very clearly expressed by President Trump, and so this heralds our meetings in the future. The question of occupied territories will be crucial elements of a peace negotiation. They are inseparable from the peace guarantees for the rest of the Ukrainian territory and for Europe, and so they cannot be discussed without the presence of the Ukrainian president at the table. Today, there is no serious scheme of territorial exchange on the table.
For over 11 years, Triple M Roofing has been providing Amish quality craftsmanship and work ethic that you can rely on. Pole barns, decks, porches, siding, and almost all roofing needs, Triple M Roofing will get the job done on time without sacrificing quality or the promise to deliver within your budget. Call today for a free estimate, 814-964-0472. Waiting is what you'll do with the other guys. Getting it done is what we do. Amish owned and operated, we're Triple M Roofing.
Who can solve this equation?
Ooh, me.
Anyone else? Fine. Jake from State Farm. Again.
All right. It's the personal price plan theorem. If you bundle your home and auto, that can equal an affordable price just for you.
Bundling, just another way to save with the personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Are you tired of juggling multiple pill bottles? Titusville Express Pharmacy has your solution, now offering compliance packaging. Your medication sorted and sealed by dose, making it easier than ever to stay on track. In a hurry? Take advantage of our convenient drive-through service. We also offer free local delivery for those that qualify. Titusville Express Pharmacy, where convenience meets care. Visit us today at 401 West Spring Street in Titusville. Simplify your medication routine with Titusville Express Pharmacy.
Poppy's Equipment and Storage Rental in Pleasantville is committed to providing our customers with exceptional service while offering quality rental equipment. Poppy's is now an authorized steel dealer with everything you need to have for sawing and cutting or mowing to digging. And of course, Poppy's has tents, tables, chairs, heaters, generators, barbecues, and more for your next wedding or get-together. Need firewood or propane? No problem. Whether you're in construction or a weekend warrior, reach out to Poppy's about your next project. Poppy's Place on the Tenesta Road in Pleasantville. Community Connect Federal Credit Union, serving Crawford, Venango, Forest, and Warren counties. Their mission is to provide quality, low-cost, and personal financial products for the growth and security of their members and families. Stop in, call, or visit our website, communityconnectfcu.com, and click Join to get started. Community Connect Federal Credit Union, 1050 East Spring Street in Titusville.
Fat Chad's Brewing is Titusville's premier dining destination, offering fine dining served with a cold beverage and great conversations. Try our new menu items, the T-bone steak, homemade meatloaf dinner, or soft shell crab tacos. Our pasta entries and sandwiches are just as popular. Try the new lobster ravioli, shrimp and scallop pasta, or our popular Asiago chicken. Don't forget about our famous burgers or fish sandwich, all served with fresh cut fries. Come in Saturday nights for Wild Game Saturdays. For good food and good times, it's Fat Chad's Brewing in Titusville.
Titusville Market Square is home to over 100 unique vendors featuring antiques, collectibles, candles, coins, baked goods, dairy products, food items, comic books, toys, and so much more. You'll discover something new every time you walk through the door. Did we mention the selection of baked goods, breads, Clark's Donuts, and Amish pies? Titusville Market Square has you covered. Stop in to explore today. Titusville Market Square in downtown Titusville.
Thinking about switching to 5G home internet? Think again. Unlike Zoom from Armstrong, 5G home internet is delivered by a cell tower. The further away you are, or the more devices connected to that tower, the slower your internet is. Cell phone providers also play favorites. When their network gets busy, cell phones win, and your home internet pays the price. Stick with Armstrong to get more data, more speed, and internet whenever you need it, not whenever they want. Armstrong, keeping you connected.
U.S. stocks ended higher on Wednesday, with the Dow adding 1%, the S&P 500 gaining about 1/3%, and the Nasdaq ticking up marginally. It was the second straight day of record closing highs for the S&P 500 and Nasdaq. It's an upward momentum that has baffled some investors, says Alexander Morris, CEO and Chief Investment Officer at FM Investments.
There's a lot of things to be worried about, but it seems pure demand and greed keeps driving equity markets higher and higher. Investors are no doubt watching inflation that is, although a little cooler than expected, still stubbornly above the Fed's metric, a impugning of the independence of the Federal Reserve from the executive branch that seems to have been joined by the legislative branch now, a plethora of names being mentioned for Jerome Powell's new job and the opening seat on the Federal Reserve Board, all of which are leading to politically driven policy as opposed to sound monetary policy.
Stocks on Wednesday were buoyed by increasing confidence that the Federal Reserve was getting closer to cutting interest rates. Traders are now fully pricing in a 25 basis point cut at the Fed's September policy meeting, according to the CME's FedWatch tool. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said on Wednesday that he thought an aggressive half-point cut was possible given recent weak employment numbers. Stocks on the move Wednesday included Apple, which rose more than 1.5% after Bloomberg News reported the company is plotting expansion into AI-powered robots, home security, and smart displays. AI data center operator CoreWeave, which is backed by NVIDIA, fell almost 21% after the company reported a bigger-than-expected quarterly net loss. And shares of Paramount Skydance jumped more than 36% as the company won exclusive broadcasting rights to the Ultimate Fighting Championship for 7 years.
Drew Myers is the new pastor at First Methodist Church in Titusville, and we welcome him this morning. Drew, good to see you this morning. Thanks for coming in.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Well, before we get into what's new and exciting at the church, let's learn about who you are. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Knox, Pennsylvania, so Clarion County, so not too far away from here. Mom still lives in the house I grew up in. Grew up very blue collar. Mom and Dad met in high school sweethearts, and both worked full time right out of high school for their whole adult lives, and grew up in a rural area. I went to Westminster College, which I know there's a lot of connections to this area from Westminster. Found that out when I started talking to folks, and went there for my undergrad, and that's where I got my call into ministry. And from there went to Pittsburgh Theological Seminary, which is downtown Pittsburgh in the East End, and did my 3 years, got my master's, was appointed to Natrona Heights, Pennsylvania, a small church just on the very northeast corner of Allegheny County, and was there the last 10 years and received the call from Titusville, did some interviewing back and forth, and felt the Holy Spirit pushing us to Titusville, so that's how we ended up here just a hair over a month ago, so still getting used to everything, but finding our way.
That's great. Back to growing up, what sort of hobbies did you have?
So I was always involved in athletics. I mean, I was always pretty athletic kid. Baseball, football, pretty much anything that came around. Not a soccer player, as you can probably tell by my build, but lifting and track and field, all those types of things. So I was always involved in a sport in some way. Heavily involved in my church. Grew up in a Knox UMC church, still my home church. Loved the people there very much, and they fostered my faith growing up. Heavily involved in our youth group. I was also involved in chorus and band and all the musicals in school, and so I had a lot of different interests. Was never really a big party kid. More likely to spend till 2 a.m. at my grandma's house playing cards with her and my cousins and things like that than those type of things. So it was more stuff up that alley, and went to Westminster and did track and field at Westminster as well. So kept with the athletic type of conversations, and so nice. Always loved that type of stuff.
So at what point in your life did you know this was the direction you wanted to go, or did you have a couple things in mind of where you wanted to maybe head?
Yeah, so when I was young, I remember telling my parents that I was going to be a pastor when I grew up.
Oh, wow.
And they looked at me and said, doesn't work that way. And they said, you have to be called into this. And I just nodded my head and said, okay. At that point in time, I had no idea what that meant. And just said, oh, okay, and just went about my life. And after that, I went through a number of different things. When I went to Westminster, I was undeclared. I had no idea what I wanted to do. Had an inkling that I might go into psychology, become a psychologist. Took a 7:40 a.m. psych class and did well in it, but don't know if it was the time or day, but turned out psych wasn't for me. Thought I might go into engineering, and then played around with a number of different things. And finally, my sophomore year, I took a class on world religion and talked to the professor and said, this is the first thing I've studied that I really enjoy, learning about. And I said, what can I do with this? And he said, well, you can either get your doctorate and teach like I do, or you can basically just become a researcher and a writer for the rest of your life. And I said, well, don't want to do that, so I guess I'm going to become a professor. And started down that path, and then one day, God put it on my heart that I was supposed to be in the pulpit. And I always talk to folks about it. It's a long story how the call happened, but it was just like a light switch flipped. At that point, I knew that's where I was supposed to be going in life. And whether I wanted to or not wasn't part of it. That's what I was supposed to be doing. And came back and talked to my home pastor, and he affirmed my call. And after I started talking to folks about it, it seems a lot of people expected that, and they kind of knew. And it wasn't until my grandmother, who's now deceased, I told her, and I said, I'm going to become a pastor. That's what I'm called to do. And she goes, okay, I'm glad you finally figured it out. And I said, oh, so Mom told you? It's my mother's mother. And she said, no, I knew you had figured it out. And I said, well, how'd you know? She said, well, I saw a piece about you that I had never seen before and could tell you had finally figured out what you were supposed to do. And at that moment, I said, okay, this is obviously not just something that was a momentary, mountaintop experience. This is a real thing. So from there on, I followed the call, and that's what took me to, I asked my professor, should I go into Christian Ed? Should I change my major? It's world religion. And he said, nope, they're going to reteach you everything in seminary anyway, so why don't you get the broad spectrum on a bunch of other religions, then in seminary they'll hone you in on Christianity and go from there. So, yeah.
Wow. So you follow that path. I would imagine there were people along the way that kind of helped guide you or mold you. Who were some of those people?
Well, some of my Sunday school teachers growing up, actually, I found Bruce Turk, one of my Sunday school teachers growing up, grew up in Titusville, went to Titusville. His best friend from school is part of the Methodist Church here, so I got to meet him, so that was kind of a cool connection, one of my Sunday school teachers. But there were a lot of folks in my home church that have been really, really supportive of me and continue to be really supportive of me in prayer and just words of encouragement as far as that goes. And honestly, my first appointment, my first 10 years, I was so green. I had no idea what I didn't know, that type of conversation. So a lot of folks in Center Church in Natrona Heights played a significant role in helping me to develop as a pastor, as a man of God. My wife and I weren't even engaged when I started there. And, so we became engaged, we became married, had both of our children while we were part of that congregation, all while I'm figuring out what does it even mean to be a pastor and a preacher and a teacher. So, those folks were deeply instrumental in being patient with me, quite honestly, as I made mistakes and figured things out and tried to understand my calling and where my strengths in ministry were, where I needed to work on those types of things. So, they were a big part of it. My mother and father, of course, have always been super supportive of my call and just continuing to foster that for me.
Have you heard from them where they say, maybe we were wrong, sorry?
Say that again?
Like you had mentioned that when you were young and you mentioned that you wanted to maybe go this direction, and they're like, no, I don't. Now, did they look back and laugh at that?
Yeah, okay. Absolutely. And honestly, I'd forgotten about it. And it's something they reminded me of after I had received the call and things of that. They're like, do you remember doing that? Not really. Because I was single digits. I wasn't, very old at that point in time. I just thought, that's something I could do. So, but they've been extremely supportive of the entire process, and they've learned that they grew up in the church. They've always been faithful persons, but to see on the kind of the other side of it, the leadership side, has been kind of fun for them too, just figuring it out and seeing how everything goes when you're the one behind the pulpit, not in the pews.
Yeah. So this opportunity comes up. What again? just something said, hey, I think this is something I want to pursue and come to Titusville? Or did you do some research before you looked into it?
Yeah, so when I was in the United Methodist Church, I'm Global Methodist now, in the United Methodist Church, it's a heavy appointment system. So you have a little bit of conversation, you have a little bit of say. You can say no once or twice, but really it's, if you're going there, you're going there. The bishop, they tell you where you're going. And in the GMC, it's much more of an interview process, much more of a call type of, I think you're in the Presbyterian Church, right? So you have
I film there.
Okay, you film at the Presbyterian Church, sorry. The Presbyterian Church, the Baptist Church, it's much more of a call. So it's more of an interview discernment process back and forth. And that can take some more time, or, if you know the fit's right. When I came up to do the interview, I took the call not expecting to move. I took the call, and, our presiding elder, who's kind of, the overseer of my area, said, hey, I know you're not looking to move, but would you consider having this interview? And I came up here and I met with the folks, and I remember sitting and with one of the members, named Joe Gianti, he asked me, okay, sounds like things are going well there. Why do you want to move? And he was sitting to my left, and I remember turning, looking at him, saying, I don't. And he goes, well, what do you mean? I said, I don't want to move. And my wife was with me and said, we have no plans to move. I said, we took this opportunity to interview with the church just to see if the Holy Spirit would move. I said, we don't have any plans to. We're just trying to listen and hear, is God doing something different and moving us in a new direction? And through that conversation and through prayer and talking with my wife, Lindsay, and with our family and friends, it just became apparent that this was what we should be doing, that my gifts for leadership, for preaching, for teaching seemed to be what this church is yearning after. And we saw it as an opportunity that God seems to be, the way I could hear it and see it is that, the church it's there, the blocks are there, and they just kind of need that spark. And we felt like we could be part of igniting that spark of the Holy Spirit and helping the church take that next step, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so did you walk away from that meeting kind of intrigued, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we walked out, and it's a harder thing for my wife. Her job's based out of downtown Pittsburgh. It was really convenient for her where we were previously, and that was the only negatives that we had were personal things, were selfish things. We were happy with our relationships we had built in that area. We were happy with how local we were and how many things we had around us. Everything that told us no was selfish. And that became clear to us of, okay, if all the reasons we want to stay are just selfish reasons and not mission-led reasons and not ministry-led reasons, maybe we really need to consider this. And as we drove home, it was an hour and 20 minutes. No, it was 2 hours from there. We just talked about it and said, I really feel like this is what we should be doing. If they say yes, because the church could have said no, we don't want, we don't think it's a right fit, and that's perfectly fine. Or we could say no, we don't think it's a right fit. And it became pretty apparent in the interviews that they were excited about us potentially being there. That became pretty clear in the conversation. I said, well, it really surprised me if they don't say that they would like us there. And it just became apparent that all of the reasons we wouldn't have come here would have just been selfish reasons and comfortable reasons. And I had gotten very comfortable where I was, and in ministry, comfortability isn't necessarily the best thing. So it just became apparent in our conversations, our discernment, that all the reasons we wouldn't have come here wouldn't have been the right ones.
And I'm sure Joe Gianni was probably camped out in your yard, and you probably just wanted him gone. So, yeah, I get it. You're watching The Morning Drill on Stream TV and on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel.
Titusville Market Square is home to over 100 unique vendors featuring antiques, collectibles, candles, coins, baked goods, dairy products, food items, comic books, toys, and so much more. You'll discover something new every time you walk through the door. Did we mention the selection of baked goods, breads, Clark's Donuts, and Amish pies? Titusville Market Square has you covered. Stop in to explore today. Titusville Market Square in downtown Titusville.
Pastor Drew Myers with us here this morning from First Methodist Church in Titusville. And you said you've been here about a month now, and just going through after what you just said, how long does it take before you really start injecting your ideas and what you want to do into things? Are you still kind of feeling things out?
Yeah. So one of the dances that we have to do as clergy is to make sure we don't come in so heavy-handed right away, because all that does is just that makes people defensive.
Right.
Because you have somebody coming in and tell you did this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. That's not a good way to start a relationship. That's not a good way to start a partnership. The best thing to do is to come in and just get a feel for the church first. Let's sit down. I've talked to a bunch of folks already. I've discerned my own places that where do we feel like we're doing well? So where can we build upon those, and where do we feel like we need to start over and build a little bit? And I try to hear that from the congregation first, because what you tend to find is the vast majority of people know those areas, and already in the conversations I've had with a couple dozen people, there's been a unification of where we feel like we're doing well and where we feel like we need to build. And that gives me an indication of, okay, where should I steer? And then there's some things that are blatantly obvious that need to be, kind of repaired and need to be rebuilt from the clergy point. But if you come in too heavy-handed, if you come into, we got to do it my way, and this is how we're going to do things, all it does is it makes people defensive, and it doesn't build those relationships. So I'd rather listen, I'd rather hear where they feel, the Spirit is moving one direction or another, and then try to lead them through that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. If you look back at the last several years or more, there's been story after story with, the decline of, church-going people. But I just read an article, just over the weekend, I think it was, saying that actually younger generations are now starting to come back.
Gen Z especially.
So what are you seeing there, and are there opportunities?
Yeah, I think there's tremendous opportunities, something I've been excited about. I'm dead center of the millennial generation. So I'm dead center in the generation that heavily rejected, especially the institutional church. And, that's something that we've seen develop over the last 20, 30 years. We've seen this rejection heavily, it's not as much about rejecting faith as much as it is rejecting the institutional church.
Okay.
Because we still see that people are putting their faith and they're still having religious behaviors. It's just they're going to a Steelers game and their religious behavior is the dress that they're wearing, and here we go Steelers, here we go. They're doing those religious things. They're making chants and, community behaviors. That's religious behavior. It's just pointing in a different direction. So we haven't seen those type of behaviors wane. It's just been pointed in a different direction. Maybe it's there, maybe it's celebrity worship, maybe it's band worship, whatever it might be. There's still that process, and it's been more of a rejection of the institutional church, I think, and part of that's justified. I mean, we've seen some terrible things that folks have done in the institutional church in the past couple of years. We've seen the sins that have come out. So to reject that, I get it in some ways. I really do. But it seems that Gen Z especially, the millennial generation, my millennial generation, has gone so far in the having no lines. We don't know where to draw the lines of what's societally beneficial, what's societally not beneficial. We've just kind of said, hey, whatever. And Gen Z, as generations often seem to kind of react to one another, has said, well, we're not quite sure that we enjoyed being raised in an environment that's just anything goes.
Right.
And now they're trying to say, okay, no, we know there needs to be lines somewhere. So where should those lines be drawn? And how do we draw those lines? And if we're not drawing those lines based on revelation, not the book of, but godly revelation and scripture, where can we draw them? Who gets to draw them? Is it drawn just basically on societal laws that are constantly changing? And there's been a need for that structure, it seems. And the church is able to provide that healthy structure. Not a structure in which, no, you don't do that, but a structure in which you can say, hey, you have freedom to make these choices. It's your decision. What choice do you want to make? And there seems to be a yearning after that structure once again, and that community, that true community, it seems what people are striving after, where people truly love them, care about them, and will support them and help them in the process of growth.
I totally agree. Man, we could spend hours talking about just discipline and structure, and kids need that.
Yeah,
adults need that.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah. So before we wrap up, it sounds like you've got the whole world here. You can go in a lot of directions. Big plans over the next year, or again, is it just kind of listening? And
everything's so new right now as far as that goes. The big things that we're trying to change, especially right now, are the spirit in worship. I am a very vibrant preacher. I have a gift for preaching. I have a gift for teaching. So the environment and the feel in our worship is already starting to change. You're already starting to see a much more conversational, much more interactive, that folks are excited to be in that worship space. The church is really cool because it offers two completely different styles of worship, and that's not super common in an area like this. They can offer something that's super contemporary with a lot of really vibrant praise music, a wonderful praise band at our 8:30 service, and then offer the organ at 11 o'clock. And I love both. I've always prided myself on being somebody who isn't fitting in a nice little box. I talked about how athletic I was and in the sports, but I was also in all the musicals. How much I loved weightlifting and being outside, but I love playing board games and video games. And my worship's the same. I love super contemporary praise songs, but I also love hearing Amazing Grace belted on the organ. So that's a unique opportunity as well to share those two types of things. And we're looking at cultivating and developing stuff for kids a lot more. We're seeing a resurgence of those younger families coming back, and I think my leadership in that will help. I have two young boys under 5 years old, so we're trying to develop a kids' Sunday school for the fall, and if we do, I'm going to lead a young adults Sunday school as well. So we might be doubling or tripling our number of Sunday schools come the fall. But really, we're just trying to build relationships. The church, capital C Church, has existed for a long time on what I and many have called, I didn't coin this, many have called the Field of Dreams model. And it worked for a while. You build it, they'll come. If you build the building, they're going to show up. And that's when the institutional church was still trusted. And you could do that. The church existed on that. But as we've talked about, there's been a rejection of that institutional church, and it's much more about building relationships. People want to know they have somebody they can trust. They want to know that they have somebody they can trust from the pulpit. They want to know they have somebody they can trust in their small group, in their Bible study, in their pew beside them. And we really need to focus on building those loving and accountable relationships around Christ, and then the church stuff follows, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, we live in an area where I think you're right. People need to see something to kind of understand it at times, and sounds like that's sort of part of the plan, and we wish you all the best. So tell us, you mentioned the times, but tell us again times that people can worship with you, and I guess look for things to come this fall. Yeah, absolutely. 8:30 is our contemporary service. Have a full praise band. They're wonderfully gifted. Use their gifts for the glory of God. Jerome. So they do a wonderful job at our 8:30 service, and that's our contemporary. 8:30 more laid back. We have Christian education in between, like I said, starting up stuff for the kids during the fall season come September, as well as for young adults, hopefully. September, and then our 11 o'clock is our traditional service. It's organ music. It's much. I guess we'll just say traditional as far as that goes, but still energetic as far as the communication back and forth goes. And the congregation's pretty evenly split between those two, so a lot of opportunities. I know they have a number of different Bible studies going on at all times, as well as, we're just looking at having monthly community events. August comes up, we have Vacation Bible School that starts not this Sunday, but the next Sunday starts on the 10th. The 10th through the 14th, can still register your kids. A wonderful opportunity there. We have an ice cream social, and I think it's in Burgess Park coming up at the end of the month. We're looking at September having some type of harvest type of event around maybe, soup and sandwiches type of event. Then we get into trunk or treat in October and, head into Advent. So we try to have one big community event, every month just to try to build those relationships. And just keep watching our Facebook page for more things going on, and we're just going to be developing as we go. Like I said, it's only been a month, so we're building, and we're just going to keep building. Pastor Drew Myers, good to see you. Thanks for your time. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Take care.
U.S. President Donald Trump was very clear on the fact that what the United States wants is to obtain a ceasefire during this meeting in Alaska. And it's very important that during this meeting, there could be a ceasefire obtained by the United States of America. And we support this initiative, as well as new prisoner exchanges and the liberation of children. The second element that was very clearly expressed by President Trump is that the question of Ukrainian territory can and will only be negotiated by the Ukrainian president. This is the position that we support, and it has been very clearly expressed by President Trump, and so this heralds our meetings in the future. The question of occupied territories will be crucial elements of a peace negotiation. They are inseparable from the peace guarantees for the rest of the Ukrainian territory and for Europe, and so they cannot be discussed without the presence of the